Hello, this is Andrew, and this is a Prestacycle new pro model Prestaflator, professional digital multi-purpose bicycle inflator. I have been looking for the perfect one of these guys for inflating Presta valves for all of my bike tires. My current solution is kind of crap, but it works well enough, which is to use this with a Prestacycle valve, because even though this is supposed to work with Presta valves, it doesn't really. So my goal with this is to just have one thing and get rid of the adapter, because I actually have a few of these adapters because different valves have different length valve cores. So the goal, hopefully, that I can achieve here is just to have one device. This is actually pretty nice quality-wise, or from the feel of it. I will have to put it together, it looks like, because it looks like it comes with several parts. So these are both Presta adapters, and this is the Schrader adapter. This is some kind of like an inflator tool. And what you do is you take this bit off, and then inside of here, this is threaded. So you can thread this guy into there like that, or
Prestacycle Pro here, hooked up to the air compressor, Presta valve, have the 3 different chucks that come with it. This is the default one, and the way that this is supposed to work is that you just kind of stick it on here and keep pushing, I guess. Nope. And as you can see, it's just draining air out of it. So while you can use it to fill up the tire, anytime you take your finger off the trigger here, it just loses tons of air. The other way to use this default thing is to take this off, and then you can screw this on, and use it to inflate the tire. Hopefully you can hear that, but it's leaking. You can certainly see this is losing air. You can also use it to deflate, but you have to push this in to do that. So this one works better than that one, but you can still hear it leaking, and you can see it just counting down here. So we will take that off. And clearly it loses a lot of air coming off because of the time that's involved in unscrewing the thing. Oh, I ripped the core out. All right. Well, that explains that. So, not an awesome option. All right, core back in. Let's tighten that back up. The third tool is this angled inflator. And once it's on there, you use it kind of the way you expect to do, which is just push it onto the valve as hard as you can. I mean, don't kill it, but put it on there hard. And in that configuration, then it actually works okay. But as you can see, it still loses air. So you have to be pretty quick about pulling it off once you get to the pressure that you want it to be at. And another one thing that is annoying about this is that this button doesn't work to pull air out of the tire. I'm not entirely sure why it doesn't work. I've tried pushing this in and pushing the button, but that doesn't work either. I actually think a lot of the air that gets lost because of this wonky design here, but I'm not entirely sure. So this is my favorite one. And then the final option that we have is this big chuck. And this is also a two-handed design, and it works very similar to the side or the angled one. We just kind of push it on there, and it's supposed to grab hold, but I can never get it to work quite right, and I'm not sure exactly why. I get air just leaks, and then it loses pressure in here. So of the 3 or 4 options that are available, the one I use when I use this is this one, because it's the most reliable, but it's still not super reliable. So our Prestaflator has not done well so far in any of the tests that I've conducted with it. I can't even get it to work properly with a Schrader valve. But the last thing that I'm going to try here is I'm going to try to mount this Pan Racer Gravel King tire on a wheel without taking the valve out. I have not been able to do this with my other mechanism or other solution, so I'm going to try it without the valve, and we'll see how that goes. Okay, as you can see, it actually worked really well for that. So for no other reason than this works with the valve in, I'm going to say that my opinion of it has shifted significantly.
In case you couldn't tell, I'm not a huge fan of the Prestacycle Prestaflator Pro Digital. It just doesn't work very well in general. It leaks. All of the adapters leak. Some of them leak less than others, but they all leak, and that's not really acceptable. It's difficult to read the thing because of how it functions, where you need to have your keep pushing pressure in it to get a reliable reading from the gauge, and that's just not the way that it should work. You should be able to take your finger off the trigger and get a solid read, and if it's good, take it off. If it's not, you add more. If it's too much, you press the little button on the side that doesn't work to let air out. That's how these things work, and this just doesn't work. And at the price that it comes in at $80, I'm surprised this thing exists. I don't know why it exists. It shouldn't. The Tubeless performance does redeem it somewhat. I was able to mount tubeless tires, large volume tubeless tires, on a rim without taking out the valve core, which I can't do with my current solution, so I'm going to keep it around because it's handy for that. Otherwise, I think I'd probably just put it in the closet of old tech and never look at it again. So, not recommended. Hopefully you found that useful. If you did, go ahead and like the video and subscribe to the channel. If you have any questions or comments, just leave them below and I will get to them as soon as I can. Cheers.